if your volume is good. Excellent. All right, so welcome. Here we are. It is week 8 of your Wild Fit Challenge. Now, who here is feeling really amazing? Who here is feeling like there's some good days and some bad days, or there's some good hours and some bad hours? And now I just want to go quickly through the screens. Who is feeling absolutely terrible? Leave your hands up. Wow, lots of people here without their video on. I know it's a weird time of day for some people, but if you are here live, put those cameras on. We want to see you, whether you are in your pajamas, whether it is the middle of the night, maybe you have rollers in, we don't care. Okay, so I see that there are a few people who are not feeling great. So what is our advice? I know we've been saying this over and over again, but what is the advice for anyone who's feeling a little bit sluggish, not so great? Minerals, more water, more activity. Okay, so if you are feeling horrible, these are the things that we really want to do, as well as celebrate. When we celebrate, our body feels better. We release reward hormones. So what are some of the non-scale victories that you have been experiencing so far? Please put them into the chat. Maybe you had your initial big why, but then there are some other things that might be feeling really fantastic for you so far. So some that we tend to hear pretty regularly are, we have decreased cravings, we have better digestion, we have better sleep, more mental acuity, right? We're just more sharp throughout the day. No more headaches, our allergies are gone. We have reduced pain. Our skin just looks better. So I see lots of things happening for you all in the chat too. In addition, skin is glowing, just starting to feel proud of yourself for all of your victories, right? Even just sticking with the program. Because remember, most people don't make it past week 2 of these kinds of health programs. And here you are this far along, over halfway through the whole program. So that in itself is something to celebrate. And remember that even if your one main goal is you're like, I just want to lose 10 pounds. I want to lose 10 pounds. Why is it so hard to release these 10 pounds? When you're really struggling because this is in the forefront of your mind, just think about the fact that for like nearly 6 weeks now, you have been adding value by way of nutrition, hydration, and stress relief to your body, right? You've actively been putting effort into sleeping better and eating better and nourishing yourself in all these different ways. So even if it is not yet coming to fruition as the fat release that you are looking for, ultimately what it's going to do is add quality to your years and maybe even years to your life. If you don't see it yet, maybe it's just going to take a little bit longer, but if we think of this logically, how is it possible to be doing this much good for our bodies and not have the result be better health? So sooner or later, those results are going to show up for you. So if you are following the enhancements, truly celebrate, because that in itself is something to be so proud of. Now, let's talk to some of the people who are slipping, right? You've shown up in the group or you've been talking to other community members and you say, you know, it's getting super tough for me and I'm really feeling like, you know, I just want to cheat. It's so hard. I don't have enough to be eating. I'm really struggling and I had some sugar, or I had a snack that was outside of the enhancements, or I just had to have some carbs. I had some bread. You know, that's not ideal at this point in the challenge, but if you did it, that's great because it gives you an opportunity to get aware of how that experiment was for you. So anyone who is brave enough, if you had one of those experiments, how did that turn out for you? What happened as an outcome of that experiment? How did it make you feel? What conclusions did you come to afterwards? If you don't feel comfortable sharing, that's cool. We can also just contemplate for ourselves. Anyone who has had any of those experiments. And another thing to get aware of is how often was it showing up, like your food devil or maybe your sugar monster was showing up for you and saying, there, now you threw out the whole program. You failed. There it was. You knew you were going to fail. And here you are failing. So now you might as well quit. For how many of us who had an experiment, was that your dialogue? And if it was your dialogue, isn't it true that your sugar monster and your food devil just got you on a bigger win than they thought that they had you on? Like first, they actually made you go and have that experiment. But then they got you actually thinking that you might as well just quit altogether. You might as well just fail. And that's ultimately what they want, right? Your sugar monster, whether it is your past habits, your tendency to self-sabotage, that inner rebel, maybe it's just those little yeasty beasties that are in your belly that we talked about before, but they all got you because they got you to say, I'm going to quit. When realistically, all you need to say is, that was a really interesting experiment. I wonder what I can learn from it so that I come back stronger, so that I can really integrate this skill a little bit better, so that I can really make this my reality instead of something that I'm just practicing. Because how often in life have you come up to a really successful person, whether they're successful in sports or parenting or running a business, and you hear their story and they're like, you know what, I just tried it one day and it was so easy and it's been easy ever since. And I didn't even really have to try. I just succeeded right from the beginning. Doesn't really happen, right? Often the best parents are the ones who have like 7 or 8 kids. Often the people who run the best businesses, it's like their 10th or 12th business or their 12th version of that business. So why is it that you come into this program for the first time and you expect it to just flow smoothly and never have an experiment, never falter? Why would you set that expectation for yourself if it's not true anywhere else? So have some compassion for yourself. We don't want you to be running out and cheating on the program or having these kinds of experiments. But if it does happen, accept it as part of the process. Learn from it and move on. Do not let your sugar monster convince you that you are defeated, because you're not. You are still here, whether you are here live or you're watching the replay. So you are continuing to succeed because you kept going. And that's all we really need to do is keep going. Can we celebrate that? We're all here. Woohoo! All right, some grumpy faces looking not so grumpy. That's good. I'll take that as a win. All right, so now that we've agreed that we're not slipping, but if we do slip, it's an experiment. Let's talk about flipping our switch. So as a poll here, how many people feel like their switch has been flipped? They're pretty confident that they are in ketosis. Okay, looking pretty good. How many people are like, I feel like I am sometimes, but not always. Or maybe I flipped, but then I flipped back. My body's still not certain. Okay, just moving through the screens, getting a reading. And now, how many people are like, I'm still not in ketosis and it's really frustrating for me because I'm doing everything and it's still not happening? Okay. So now keep your hand up and now raise your other hand if you're like, I'm really obsessing about this. Like, I need to get into ketosis. I'm thinking about it before I go to bed, when I wake up in the morning, all throughout the day. Okay. Now we can kind of put these hands down so I can still see the fingers. Now, how many of you for whom this is your experience, remember me saying that the more you stress out, the less likely it is that your body is going to flip? A little bit. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. When you catch yourself fixating and you are like, I need to get into ketosis, I'm eating everything, I'm doing everything, I'm making all the moves. Okay, this is my action plan. Take a deep breath. Grounding into feeling safe. Because I know for most
I forgot to.
Whoops. So for most of whom, where this is your reality, chances are that you have like less than 20 pounds that you need to release, right? Less than 10 kilos. Is that true? So remember, your bodies, for them, fat is life insurance. And you don't have like millions of dollars worth of health insurance, right? You've got a couple $100,000 and your body's like, oh, you know, like, I really feel a lot safer if I keep these. You know, we've done some of that dieting before where food just goes away. And I've heard your thoughts. I know what's going on there. You're thinking of restricting me. You're thinking of going and running more, right? You're going to spend more time on that treadmill or more time in the gym, or you're going to take away my food and just give me salad. I can hear you, and I'm just not ready. So I'm going to hold on to it for safety to protect us. And this is really what your body is doing. So if you can walk into that same bank and instead of being frantic and being like, look, I need you to let go of that 10 pounds. If instead you're like, look, we've been doing really well. And you know, the food, it keeps coming in. There's such abundance, right? I'm letting go of stress. I'm feeling really good, taking lots of time for self-care. I've just got all this abundance. So I don't need this plan as much, right? I don't need that in the bank. I'm going to transfer it somewhere else. Probably your body's going to be like, yeah, okay, I see your abundance. You're right. We don't have to hold this so closely. I don't need to be so paranoid. It's probably going to be okay if I let at least just half of it go for now, because I trust that there's more where that came from. So your mission, if you're like, it's just not happening, is to show your body that there's more where that came from. How can you go easy on your body this week, just for this week, until you flip your switch? How can you indulge in more relaxing self-care? How can you spend more time doing breath work? How can you ease out of activity and make it more of gentle activity, just for now, until you flip your switch? Because that's what your body needs in order to trust you that it's okay to change into this metabolism. And then when you change your metabolism, then your body will be pretty comfortable doing whatever it wants. If we're looking at a big brick, I'm going to stop with the analogy soon, but I think this one's really good to keep in the forefront of your mind. When you're looking at a big brick or a big block, and you want to get that block moving, the most difficult thing to do is get it moving, even if that block is on ice, right? The first initial push, that action, that force to get it to start moving is the hardest part. And then once it's moving, its tendency is to stay moving. And our body will do the same thing with fat burning. So Do everything you can to reduce resistance. And as resistance goes down, your body is going to want to flip your switch, even if it's sticky. So it's a bit of a mind game, but you can figure it out. All right. Last thing I'm going to say is we're going to talk a little bit about categories, okay? At the end of this week, Eric is going to teach you about 3 different categories that you can be in. And our tendency, because we're people, is to say, well, one of these categories has to be better than another category. And I want to be in the best category, right? So what we're going to try to do instead is recognize that these categories are more like 3 different lanes that we're going to get into. We've all been going down this same highway, and now we're all going to take different exits. And your exit is no better than any of the other exits, right? The scenery might be a little different, but it's all beautiful. But we really just want you to choose a lane to go into, and then maybe your enhancements will change a little bit based on the lane that you're in. So those of you who are in category 1, that means that you have released all of the fat that you want to release. You're where you want to be in terms of your body composition. You have let go of all of your medications, and you just feel really great. Your energy is really high, your mood is really good, you're feeling super confident, right? Then you are category 1. You're going to go this way. And you might have another video, a different video to watch at the end of this week, okay? If you are in category 2, you're kind of getting closer to category 1, but you still have some weight that you want to release. You're still experiencing some more minor health symptoms. Maybe you have 1 medication left, depending on how harmful you feel that medication is to you. And generally you're feeling good, but you could feel better. So that's category 2. And then there's category 3. Category 3 is like you still have significant weight that you want to release, that you still have significant health issues that you want to have resolved, or you still have multiple medications. All right. Now, really, because our cultures overall tend towards fat shaming, what we like to do is say, oh, I'm category 3, I fail, I suck. And that's not the case. Like, I identify as category 3. I still have to be hyper aware of my seasons and focusing on healing because I have a prolonged health condition that really needs attention. So I identify as a category 3. Whereas if you look at my body, like I'm pretty lean, right? And my energy generally is pretty good, but that's because I identify as a category 3. So be honest when you try to identify your category towards the end of the week, and really try as best you can to feel no shame or judgment when it comes to your category. It's just a different lane. And depending on which lane you are in, you will have specific enhancements that you are going to follow. All right. Okay. So that being said, Joanna made a fantastic video that went into the group speaking about little tips and tricks you can do if you're not yet in fat burning mode. So in addition to what I've already said, make sure that you check those out and check those off before you come on and say, you know, this is not working. The people that I'd love to catch up with this week are people who are really wanting others to celebrate with them because they've had really big wins. People with like showstopper questions, like my doctor said this, and I need some more advice. And of course, it's just, you know, I'm not giving you advice to compare with your doctor. I'm just giving you some specifics that I've seen anecdotally with the program. And then anyone else who's really struggling and needing some extra support, okay? If you have other things to check in with, that's cool, but those are the ones that I would like to speak to first, if at all possible. Okay. Angela, are you with me? Maybe, maybe not.
Sure I am.
Okay, so if you could man the check-ins, that would be fantastic.
Okay. Kathy's the only person with her hand up right now.
I'm making your job so easy.
You've scared them all away.
Hi, Kathy. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have a win first and then a question. So I have this stack of jeans that I had in my closet that I wasn't able to wear. And I pulled them out over the weekend and tried a few of them on, and now they fit.
Woohoo!
So I'm really excited about that. All I have to do is go shopping in my closet right now.
Amazing.
And my question has to do with, I am getting a colonoscopy done next Monday, and the instructions say to eat a low fiber diet the 3 days prior to that, which means on their list it says do not eat any vegetables, raw or cooked, or any nuts or seeds, and any fruit or anything. So am I just supposed to maybe eat proteins and some broths?
That sounds like a really good idea. So taking on more of like a hunter style of spring.
Okay.
That broth is going to be super nourishing for your digestive tract. So that'll be really helpful. And then, yeah, you're not going to have any fiber built up in your body if you're sticking mostly to protein. I think that's a great plan.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You are so welcome and congratulations.
Thanks.
Okay, you have Miss Becky.
Thank you. Thank you. So when everybody's telling me my face looks a lot slimmer than it did before, that feels nice.
Woohoo!
Yeah, because I was like cake face or something. But so I have a question. You said category 3, I do still have a significant amount of weight to lose. And I'm wondering if that means you have to go into the program again, or I know that every person's different. So what do I expect to lose?
That's a great question. So Becky, really what we're doing is we are going through what is essentially a really prolonged cleanse or detox, right? Where we are trying to balance the body, bring everything back into alignment. And at the same time, we're releasing fat because the body tends to do that when it moves into alignment. So some of us, depending on how much fat we had to release, we're going to make a specific amount of progress in this amount of time. But our tendency is that we want to say, well, at the end of 90 days, that's the finishing line. So I have to get all of my results when I reach that finish line, because that's what we have been conditioned to believe we need to do. When really we have to look at that as, well, that's sort of the end of this main detoxification process. And what we're going to be teaching you is how to create ratios with your WildFit seasons, and we'll teach you what the seasons are so that you can then continue to succeed with getting the results that you want and continue to move towards your goals. Many of you will have different goals by the time that this program is over, and that's fantastic. So working with those goals and maybe your new big why or an updated version of your big why, we will lay out maybe the next couple months, the next 3 months. Some people like to lay out the next year of which seasons they're going to be eating in, depending on their food categories. And then as your body shifts and your categories shift, maybe those ratios will shift also. And this is where the Living WildFit program is so helpful, because it provides this kind of community environment where you can come on and celebrate your big wins. Like, hey, my moon face is gone because I'm releasing all of this inflammation and my body is healing. And we can be like, yes, go Becky. and it feels so good. And then we want to continue. So we have that accountability. So really that's what I would start to think of, is it's not about, these next few weeks, it's about this next year. Eric always says that we tend to overestimate what we can achieve in a day, and we underestimate what we can achieve in a year. So really, if we just switch that framework in our mind, then we can see what's ahead of us. And that gets really exciting instead of really anxiety provoking.
Thank you.
You are welcome. I'm really excited for you.
Thank you.
Okay, you have Joe next. There you go.
Hi,
Okay.
can you hear
Hey,
me?
Joe. Yes.
Oh, hi. My wins are that I have so much energy, I don't even know what to do with it. Like, I only need like 4 to 5 hours of sleep now versus 8 hours to 9 hours that I needed before. Like my skin looks great. It's like my hair feels stronger. It's amazing. Also, I like lost my appetite, but I still eat out of habit, and I don't know how to fix that. So if you have any tips for that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So are you eating within the enhancements?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you are in fat burning mode, that you're in ketosis, and you're eating within the enhancements. So I think to some extent that's pretty good. It's very normal for our appetite to go down when we enter into fat burning mode, because the body starts to notice, I've got all this fuel on my body, so I don't necessarily have to cue you to eat to get energy. But at the same time, if we want to maintain that high metabolism, we want to be giving our body food at regular intervals, because remember, we want to show the body that there is abundance. So let's create a distinction between, are you eating to provide your body with the nutrients that it needs other than energy, or are you emotionally eating, but emotionally eating the foods that are within season?
I don't know about emotionally, but more like out of habit, because I wake up and I usually have breakfast, but I don't like my body doesn't ask for food anymore in the mornings. But I still eat. So I don't know what to do about it.
I think that's great, right? We want to continue to eat at this point specifically because, like I said, your body has all the energy that it needs, but it doesn't necessarily have the nutrients that it needs to build the healthy tissue with all the energy that it has. So we do want to be eating regularly, and at regular times. I like that habit when people eat at the same time every day. Really, the only thing I would be aware of is maybe the amount that you're eating. So are you eating an amount that gives you nutrition, or are you continuing to eat in excess? Or are you eating when you ought not to be eating only because of emotional reasons? Those are the things that I would pay more attention to.
And then if I become aware of it, how do I, because sometimes I'm aware of it. Like last night I was watching Netflix and I just had nuts with it, even though I wasn't hungry, but I'm used to snacking while watching something. So, and I was aware of it, but I couldn't override the habit.
So when we like having that awareness, that's the first big step. So that's something really to celebrate that not a lot of people would do, 6 weeks ago. So I think that's fantastic. And then really it's like, okay, why am I having these nuts? Well, I'm having them because I'm used to doing something while I'm watching Netflix. But is there any other reason? Because if there's no other reason, then you can easily be like, well, I just want to be doing something so I don't feel like I'm wasting time on Netflix. So then maybe it's like giving yourself a reflexology foot massage, or massaging like your hands, or doing your nails, or just something where you're busy while being passive. you know?
That makes a lot of sense. I might get a fidget spinner. Maybe that helps.
For any of these things, guys, and Joe, that is such a fantastic example to be sharing with us, because it really is like, why do I want to be eating? Is it really about the food, or is it about the behavior? Is it about my belief about the behavior? And when we look at the dialogue here, then we can figure out what we really need. So myself, for example, I think like my dad is one of those Catholics that like never stopped working. And my mom is very similar. So I have indoctrinated in my head that I always need to be working or I'm useless. And I'm actively trying to get over this behavior, but I have a lot of guilt when I sit down to watch Netflix at night. I just do. And I used to be like, well, I have to be making a snack and then eating the snack. And if I run out of a snack, I need more snacks. And then instead it was like, no, I just need to feel like I'm doing something productive at the same time. And then it was creating something that was actually more positive for me and helped with my personal development. And then, you know, I got over that eating habit.
That's such a good point. I never thought about it like that, but it probably is. I'm very type A, so it probably is like a productivity thing. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome. Give it a try and see what comes out of it. I'm like, now I sit down and I'm watching a movie and I'm like, I'm giving myself a foot massage or foot bath with essential oils. Like I've got a whole routine, or I'm stretching as I'm watching something, and that makes me feel really good. So Kathleen is saying she knits or crochets. That's a really good idea too. So yeah,
Awesome.
you are welcome.
Okay, so you have Miss Miriam next.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I'm what I celebrate. I'm in the program for the third time now, and I gained some weight after the last one by binging on almond butter, basically. And so I released quite some of it again. And so that feels really good. And at the same time, I'm a bit like, I think I've never really experienced ketosis so far. And I'm one of those people that doesn't need to release so much. So it's like 3 to 4 kilos, like the max I need to release from now, or I want to actually. And I'm using these keto sticks, and only one time in the last challenge, I had one day where I had like purple, and it never shows anymore. And I feel also all the time when I'm in spring, the way I feel is like when I climb up the stairs, it's always like I'm a little bit more tired than usually. And I don't sleep very well. Not very bad, but not very well. And it's not that hard as it was the first time. But I'm really wondering what to look for, or and maybe you answered most of the question already before, but since it's the third time, I'm still like a bit, what do I need to do, or just need to live with it that it's might not happen? And I want to feel great, actually. That's where I long for.
Yeah, of course. So like a couple things that I'll say is in the short term, when we are trying to become fat adapted, and fat adapted is basically a term that means your body is comfortable and capable of burning fat as energy super efficiently, right? So it takes time for the body to get used to that, and like several cycles of spring. So that's the first thing that I would say. The second thing that I'll mention is that often if being in fat burning mode is causing interrupted sleep, or people are feeling like they have insomnia, or their mood is just a little bit lower, what it can be is that sometimes ketosis can interfere with our levels of serotonin, which are our happy hormones, and melatonin, which we need to sleep really well. So this is where that evening snack of something that's a little bit higher in carbohydrates, relatively higher, like a middle food, can be so helpful and really give you that deep, rejuvenating sleep that you're looking for. And then the other thing really is minerals. And I know I'm saying it a lot, but like minerals, minerals, minerals. Some people, it is getting mineral drops in their water consistently all of the time, and having magnesium cream that they put on their tummy, and having Epsom salt baths. It all comes down to how efficient your body is at retaining those minerals and how much your body is working to rebalance. Because the minerals, each one is contingent on the levels of other minerals, right? They all balance one another. So if there is a huge imbalance in one or two minerals, then that is affecting all of the other ones. So in this season where we're not holding water, we really have to be pumping the body full of these healthy organic minerals as much as is possible. So these drops, the creams, putting powder in water. Some people are talking about fluvic acid. Stephanie, I was all about the Shilajit and the fluvic acid, like all about it. And then I started doing more reading and finding out that a lot of brands, for those who don't know, sorry, that was an aside from something I read in the comments. And fluvic acid is basically like old soil that's like from volcanoes, right? So it's only available at certain places in the world, but it's hugely nourishing because it's full of minerals, like 84 minerals that we don't get enough of because our soil is garbage now. Like our food comes from garbage soil for the most part, and so we're not fully nourished. And the issue is that a lot of fluvic acid, because it's becoming so popular, is not the highest quality. And you have to look out for heavy metals being in these products. I have a couple products that I can really recommend. The name is escaping me right now. I will find it and I will put it into the Facebook group for anyone who's looking to order that, because it has great reviews and no heavy metals. So that's another route to go to really help to nourish your body. But often all of these issues that are coming up when we are experiencing like the lethargy or the brain fog or poor sleep, it's because we haven't had enough of those minerals, and they take a while to be restored in the body. So that's what I would say, is really try not to lose heart. And many people feel like, especially if they are, repeating the challenge, maybe spring is not your best season, right? Maybe your body thrives in like a mild summer. Early summer might be your season. And you get to learn this and trust this more and more as you're living WildFit. When it comes to the leg issue, especially on stairs, I feel you. My body still does this. And really, it's about your breath. And I spoke about this a little before, but for all of the athletes who are trying to continue their level of activity and switch into fat burning mode, we have to change the way that we breathe. Often when we go upstairs, we like take a big breath beforehand, and then we maybe hold our breath as we're climbing the stairs without even realizing it. Or we are exhaling when we are lifting the leg and inhaling when we're pushing. And really, we need to switch and give our body that oxygen at the beginning of the movement so that it has that fresh oxygen to use for power when we are actually in mid movement of those muscles. So if you want a really good brain exercise, start trying to reprogram your breathing, which is usually an automatic thing, while you are in fat burning mode. And it's basically like your body just needs to learn how to do this automatically. but you have to train it. It's like training a baby in how to walk. You have to move it through it consciously first, and then the baby can pick it up on its own. And our body works that way all the way up through our lives. So hopefully those will be helpful to you. And it's a really good opportunity to just start asking your body, does this feel good? Would this feel better? Because ultimately that's the goal of WildFit, is to be your own expert on what works best for your body.
Thank you very much. And one thing, the keto sticks, not to worry too much about it.
Yeah.
No.
Like what I always remind myself of is that the keto sticks are showing your excess ketones, right?
Mhm.
They're not showing the ketones that you actually have functioning in your body. They're the ones that are left over. So if you are experiencing the insomnia and these other symptoms, chances are that you are in ketosis. It might just be that you're burning ketones quite efficiently. And then the other thing to think of is, you know, if you are experiencing these like high levels of ketones and then you don't see as many, sometimes just changing around the quantities of what you're eating can make a huge difference. I spoke before about finding that threshold where you're having enough protein, but not too much, and enough carbohydrates to feel good, but not too many, and enough fat so that you feel energetic, but not too many that your body doesn't feel like burning your own body fat. So there's all of these little tweaks that we need to be consciously making through spring. And it's really to find our own rhythm, which
Mhm.
feels good for us in spring.
Mhm. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome.
Okay, you are ready for Miss Leslie.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So mine is a little bit more of a riddle than a question. I'm not really losing very much weight at all. I feel good. I feel I've got more energy. I'm normally a pretty bad sleeper, so that's kind of, even. And I'm being almost 100%, religious about what I'm eating and drinking. The only thing I'd say that snuck in at the beginning of the week, my Alka-Gyser just wouldn't go down. So I threw in a carrot and an apple, which, bad, but not the worst thing in the world. And so the last 2 weeks, my weight has been pretty much static. And I was getting really, really discouraged last week. So I kept thinking of, all the positives and the things that everybody'd been saying to do. And several people have said, oh my gosh, you've lost weight, you look fabulous, or whatever. I almost dropped a pair of pants while I was wearing them the other day, so that was good. But what my riddle is, I went to measure myself because I thought, that would be a good marker other than the weight. And my measurements have actually gone up. And I don't understand that at all. Wondered if you have any insight into that. And then my second question was, I'm vegetarian and I'm finding it really, really hard to eat my proteins. And I was wondering what the kind of party line is on a really clean protein powder and drinking that. Is that a big no-no, or where does that come into things?
So with the enhancements, we always want to be minimizing processed foods whenever possible, right? And protein powder is really highly processed. That being said, we want you to feel the best that you can feel and do the best you can with what you have. So if you feel like this is something that you need to really thrive, then look for the best that you can possibly find. So the best that you could find would probably be a sprouted pea protein or something like that. And the reason you want it to be sprouted is because, and I love seeing all of the photos of everyone who is sprouting. It's fantastic. I think Benjamin, you most recently posted one. Are they done yet? And the reason that we want that is because, as I've said before, when we sprout them, it unlocks their potential to grow into a plant and really put them into a building phase. So it kind of moves from all of their amino acids from being frozen to being active, and therefore they can be more active in our bodies. So if you are like, and some people were asking, well, what about flour? You know, like if you can have almond flour, why can't I have chickpea flour? And those kinds of things. So really, like we want to optimize the bioavailability of protein, and that is through sprouted. So that's what I would look for if you're really looking to improve your health.
Can you overdo?
But
Can you overdo the magnesium?
if you overdo magnesium, it's kind of like when you overdo vitamin C. Your body sends you a very clear message that you're having too much. When you have magnesium, your body relaxes, and that includes your bowels. So
Okay.
that urgency to go to the washroom is usually the indication that you've exceeded the threshold for magnesium. But if you don't have that signal, then your body is likely asking for more. We use magnesium for almost every function in the body. So
Okay, and then can you explain that inches gain? Or
yes. So a couple things. Were you measuring at the same time of day?
yes, I mean I kept going back and retrying it, you know, several times because I just kept thinking this can't be right.
Mm-hmm.
Usually first thing in the morning.
Yeah, like to me, if your pants are physically falling off you, it doesn't make sense that your
I
measurement
know.
would be larger. So I'm like,
know.
did you mistakenly use a different measurement? Was it a different measuring tape? You know, like these are all of my, I immediately go to like human error because the physics just doesn't make sense.
That's what was baffling me.
So unless someone is playing a really mean trick on you, I would probably just stick to what is working right now. And it seems like what you're doing is working, and then maybe go back and measure in another week or so. Were you doing like all of your body measurements overall and then using that number? Like, is it possible that your muscles are growing at the same time?
It was just my, you know, bust, waist, hips. Those were the ones that I was kind of focused on.
Mm.
So I know my bust muscles haven't grown.
Most women unfortunately find that area tends to shrink, and usually shrink first when we are releasing weight. It's not fair. But anyway, so then the other things I would think of is like maybe something you were digesting was causing some bloating in the waist area, or maybe you know, some muscle growth is happening. I don't have an answer for you that really makes sense.
Okay. I just wondered if it was a common thing, but okay. Thanks so much.
You are so welcome. I'm really happy. And, you know, I can feel the horror of nearly losing your pants, but it is something to celebrate, right?
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Definitely.
someone was joking that we should put in the advertisement that like you might have to also include a budget for going shopping when you sign up for the challenge. So it's nice when some people like Kathy can shop in their own closets. So. All right, who do we have next?
You have Karen.
Hi.
Karen.
So I'm like Kathy. I'm shopping in my own closet, and I got to tell you, I freaking love it.
Yay!
Yeah, I put on a pair of pants I haven't worn in 3 years, and my husband turned around and he goes, "Wow!" And I was like, "Huh."
Yes.
Wow, we've been married for 20 years, so you know, I was like, "These are old pants. I can fit into them."
I love it.
It felt so good. It really did. So my question actually is more about what's coming up, because you're talking about how everybody's going to break out into a tract. I feel good. I feel like I still have about 15 pounds I really want to lose to get to where I feel really good about myself. But I have 2 autoimmune diseases. Only one of them I take medication for. And they were, I went through a phase where I had mercury toxicity, which is how they know what happened to me. Like I had a naturopath trace it back, and he's like, you have mercury toxicity, so your immune system's failing. And that's why you got one and then the other. My end goal is to get rid of them both, which I've had doctor time and again go, that'll never happen. And I'm like, well, nobody in my family has these. It's not genetic. It's because I had mercury problems. So I don't know if that means I go into category 3 or category 2. And I just want to make sure when I do that next step that I'm going in the right direction, because weight wise, I feel like I'm okay. Like, I feel like I'm dropping weight. I know I am. I've done measurements and stuff. But I want to make sure that I'm getting that really deep healing done inside. And so I don't know if that means I'm category 3 or category 2. So
That's a great question. So the most deep healing happens in deep spring.
okay.
That's when your body is producing human growth hormone, and it can do a lot of magic with that overnight, including some really deep healing. Your inflammation overall in your tissues is going to be lower because you have very low levels of sugar. And also, if you're dealing with these autoimmune conditions, which what are they? Sorry, what's the
I
one?
have Hashimoto's
Yep.
and I have celiacs. I got Hashimoto's
Yeah.
first, and then like
Yeah.
4 years later, I developed celiacs. So it wasn't at the
just-
same time.
I just needed the prompt. Thank you. So yes, so for you, really, when we like, has your doctor talked to you at all about certain viruses that can prey on different tissue in your body?
Yeah,
kind
I've been tested for, I've been through so much testing. I am lucky to have a good naturopath that gets all this.
Okay, fantastic.
So yeah.
So yeah, if you've been tested for Epstein-Barr and things like that, still it's a really good idea to starve out your biome and everything else in your body of sugar, so that all of those pathogens die. We
Okay.
really want them to die, especially the ones that feed on heavy metals. And then it's also a really good opportunity to keep your body releasing those heavy metals. You could really take it one step further and focus on like the greens that, in working with your naturopath, you're probably doing this, but like the greens that you're eating are the ones that are best for chelation, you know, and really just using that opportunity to fully clean out your body. And the more that you're releasing fat,
Yeah.
the better, because you probably know that's where we store a lot of these contaminants. So
Yeah.
you let them go, you let go of the contaminants, it's all good. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I eat a lot of cilantro. That's a big one. So
Yes.
I eat tons of it.
Good, good, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have 7 minutes. You want more?
Keep them coming.
Okay, you have Anita, and then if we have time, you have Maha after that.
Hello.
Hi, Anita.
Hi, how are you? I'm on another screen because my computer won't work properly. So if you can't see me, that's why. I'm on my phone as well.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, I can't remember what my question was now. Okay, my victories are coming every day, which is great. Energy levels are really through the roof. I got into a pair of size 10 jeans today, so I'm delighted with that. I couldn't get them on a month ago, so I'm thrilled. Like, I'm just seeing myself on the screen now, but I still have to lose this here. My main question is, I'm 53 this year. I've been on HRT for probably almost a year now. And that's when I started noticing the weight going up now. I blame that, but I know it was my eating habits were bad as well. But I blame the HRT. because it did say that, you could gain weight. So that gave me license to just go mad. And I went to France in 2019 and said I was going to eat bread and croissants and not worry about it. And it's only for 2 weeks, but I never stopped. So that was my problem. But my question really is, I think, does the hormone replacement, can that impede weight loss? Or, can they stop me from actually gaining my ideal shape and weight? Like I'm about 28 still to go, 28 pounds still to go. I've lost 16, which I'm delighted about. But that's kind of my question is will the HRT prevent me from realizing my dream, I suppose, like, where I want to be?
What do you feel like intuitively is the answer?
I really don't know. I know that the HRT has helped me an awful lot with my emotions and my energy levels. It did bring me up, but not so much as I am now. I'm a lot higher. My energy levels are so high now. I mean, I love you, but I hate you at the same time, because I wake at 5:15 in the mornings now. My dogs love you though, because I'm out walking. So I've increased my walking every day. So I don't know whether it's a combination of the two. I don't have any negative effects from the HRT, and I do know, I can remember of a few groups that talk about the menopause and different ailments that we have to go through, because, like aches and pains and stuff like that. My hair loss was, every time I washed my hair, I was terrified that the amount that was coming out of my head. That did stop a little bit with the HRT, but again, it's completely stopped now. I might have just the odd one coming out now. So I'm confused. I don't know. I'm kind of, I don't want to go back to the way I was. And I'm afraid if I had to go off the HRT that I might, or should I just take control of my own life and just do it through food? I don't know. And I'm just looking for some advice for that, really.
I think really you've given yourself an answer. And that's like, you're feeling really great now. I would continue that way until you really feel like, I don't need it anymore.
Right. Okay. I don't know whether when that will happen or not.
It likely will. Like, I can tell you anecdotally that a lot of people really feel that way, where it's just like, I'm ready to let this go. My body feels solidly balanced without it.
Okay.
And we really want you to get to that point where you're not second guessing yourself, because second guessing leads to stress. So
yes, and I'm very prone to stress. Yeah.
So the more support you have right now in your body, and you're feeling good this way, so let's just keep that rolling.
Okay, so it won't do any harm to be on the HRT. It shouldn't slow me down in the program or anything like that.
I think that's really a conversation to be having, like maybe with a naturopathic doctor. But anecdotally, I can tell you that people, like myself included, great results. And I'm using that for, not for menopause, but for different and so it's up to you what feels good for your body.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you. That was it. That's all I wanted to know. Oh no, I do have another question. It's not very pleasant. My poop is green. Is that normal? Okay. I keep telling my husband, but he doesn't want to know. Okay, but it doesn't mean, because the way you're saying about doing excess of vitamin C, like especially with COVID and all that, I take extra vitamin C. I take 4 grams a day. Doesn't affect me, so I know that my body needs it. But what I was wondering was, like, retrospectively, then would it be a case that because my poop was green, that I'm not digesting it, that it's just getting rid of it? That's what I was worried about.
Usually it's just that your body can't really deal with all of the chlorophyll that's in all the green plants, and it can't take it all in and assimilate it. We need some of it for energy, but the excess, we can't hold on to it, and it just gets carried out. So yeah, it's usually not an assimilation issue. You would know from other unpleasantries, but
Yeah.
it seems like it's all good.
Okay. All right. That's all. That's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I think we're going to have to end the call there. Rita and Maha, what I would love for you to do, if possible, is just make a quick little video into the Facebook group with your question, if you're comfortable, so we can get those 2 answered. I feel bad leaving them left unanswered, but I want to be respectful of time because this is an important week. We want to make sure everyone is doing what they need to be doing and getting the lessons that they need to learn through this program about themselves and about their health. So if you could do that, that would be great. And I do have some time this afternoon to pop in and answer them, okay? All right, everybody, you are rocking it. We are already halfway through. You are still here. That in itself is something to be so excited about, and so many people having great wins. And remember, if people are winning, that just means that you might be the next popcorn kernel to pop. So celebrate other people's successes. That'll get your serotonin up and your dopamine up, and your body will be calm. And then you might flip your switch. Okay? So big celebration, and see you next week. Woohoo! Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you